This video is going to be looking at some of the setup in Spacemaker that relates to the layer functionality over here on the left-hand side. So what I have here is a site that I pulled down from the database in Denmark, Copenhagen. I've also brought in some other models to add a bit more detail to the site context. This one is unspecified, hasn't been put on a layer, so I can potentially turn those on, turn those off. What I want to do is just go into this Untitled bit and start looking at some of the tools that we have that you can modify. Some of the data we also have that came when we created the site. So I'm just going to look in the 2D view here. Here you have the buildable area. So again, you can turn that on, turn that off. This was pulled down as part of the assets that we got. So here are the data orders that we used for the creation of the site. So we got the buildable area. Here we have the site limit. Probably doesn't give us too much information here. Oh, sorry, does the site area. Buildable area. We have surrounding buildings, so it's highlighting in blue here. We can turn those on and turn those off. There we go. And it looks like, yeah, there's the terrain. Terrain is, can't filter through that. And this is to do more with the height. So when we flick into 3D, you'll get some information about certain heights of the building here. You can see they're all broken down into individual geometries here. So a little bit of a break here in terms of what you have. And there's a note here, height fetched from uncertain source. Please ensure the height is set correctly. So probably need to go back into where the data was sourced from. But for what I'm doing today, it shouldn't really affect too much. So here, outdoor area. So simply when you come to do this, you can create your outdoor areas on your site. So I'll choose this part here to be my outdoor area, and I can just snap to parts of the site here. So it's pretty easy to do this, and it does actually square it up there. Hit return to finish that command, and now we have an outdoor area. Surrounding buildings, roads. So we do have a road going through the site. So here we can go and draw that road, and this road does go to a little bridge here. Looks like it's probably a footbridge. Here I can hit return, and then I'm going to get these tools here to give it a name. So I'm just going to copy the name that is here on the label. Speed limit, maybe this might be, say, 10 kilometers an hour, and daily traffic might not go over 100. There are some advanced settings here. Heavy traffic, 5%. Maybe there are some deliveries, so we could just leave that as is for heavier vehicles turning up. That forms the input when we come to do our noise analysis. Likewise, if we want to do a busier road, we can go and do this one here. And again, you don't have to be massively accurate about it. I'll just do that and hit return, keep it within the site boundaries. And so similar looking name. Let's go like that. Speed limit, I'll crank that up to say 60. Actually, let's put this as 80. Oh. Seems to be going a little bit off for me there. There we go, 80. Daily traffic, let's say that's 1,000. And heavy traffic, let's say it's a thoroughfare for heavy traffic. So we'll make this one a lot busier, this one a lot quieter. Rail, I did this in a previous tutorial, but yeah, rail's the same thing. So there is actually a railway line here. So I'll just do one of the tracks and hit return. rail, let's call it rail, and under the advanced settings you'll see a couple of little different things here. So the length, if it's a train, a tram, or a subway. So this one will just be an overground train. I'll leave the length and the speed and all that at default. Existing buildings, so this one I think I actually have deleted the existing buildings that were on the site here, so we don't really need to do too much here. Maybe there might be some key sort of buildings that need to remain on the site and you've got to build over them. In some cases, I've done projects in the past where you've got a substation for a local tram, so you need to keep that and build over it. Screens, so I haven't done much on screens yet, but this might be just screening off part of the site, so I'll just add this. Again, I am still learning some of the stuff as we go, so elevation from the site, height, maybe there needs to be a screen of say 16 meters. Terrain is done. Building pads, so when you create the site, the building, when you're going to build on the site, it will follow the terrain, so it's a good idea to create a building pad. So here I'm just going to add a building pad to cover the main part of the site, and I'll take that to there and just let that square up. This needs to be snapping there, hit return, and I'll just keep the elevation at 0 for now. Finally, vegetation. This one will give you some trees, so I'll make, say, here a street lined boulevard. Again, I'm just snapping, so it's square, hit return. It's going to ask for the height, so let's say the trees are 8 meters, and now when we go to 3D, you'll see the trees displaying here in a very cool graphical style. And of course, you can change all this. This is all sitting on 0 for the elevation and the height. You know, you could crank that up, and then the density or the style of the tree might change. So 8, and then if we drop it down to say 3, yeah. So I'll keep it at 8. It's probably a good height for a tree. And then view to areas I've already done in a previous demo, but what I've done here for this particular site, views to the water might be of interest, and views to this park might be of interest. So you can add numerous ones here. So let's say there is a landmark over here. Maybe there's a church or some historical building of interest. You can go and add another view to area, and I'll just flick it to 2D here. So maybe there's some building of interest where everybody wants to be able to see it. So I'll just add that as my view to area, and this creates area 3 for me. So now I've got 3 key view to areas. Okay, so that was pretty much everything here in the first part of setting up the site with the layers. Things that I'll do in a later video workflow will be the facade buffers, facade distances, height boundaries, and line buffers. You'll note also there might be like a little note here. There is geometry outside the area of validation. So here, let's just see if we can get rid of that. Just delete that bit of geometry. It's still thinking. So here looks like we've got some geometry outside of that area. And still some more. Okay. So you'll get these things sort of popping up, and then once we've addressed all the geometry that could be outside the site, of course you can make the site a bit bigger. This should change. And if I select that, okay, there's the last bit of geometry that looks to be outside of the site. Okay, it's going. Okay, so yeah, looks like there's some geometry overlapping somewhere, but it's not going to affect me too much. Ideally, what I should be doing is updating. Yeah, okay, so anyway, I'm going to apply changes, And these are all the changes added to my current scenario. Of course, you could add it to a new scenario. I'll just apply. And now we should have layers set up with some site information that can help inform our design. And of course, when this fires up, you'll be able to still see the layers and you can turn them on and off as needed. Again, with these workflows, I'm going to try and do them all live, unedited and raw, so you can sort of see the time it might take to configure this. It is working off the cloud, so just has to take a couple of seconds to process. But here we have our updated site in 3D. And so we've got like a bit of a buffer here for the screen that was added, which is that one. And then, anything you need to turn off and turn on, you can go through the layers here and do that. Okay, so that concludes the layer for the site setup.